Good evening. In this episode of Bolts and Red, we talk efficiency. Essen had 1 and RB Leipzig had. We look at a player who took part in the Euros. Richard uses his favorite word.
There's a lack of cohesion.
First time I heard it today. Richard makes up long German words.
Abstimmungsschwierigkeiten. I love this German word, by the way.
I'm not going to play that game with you again. Find out why Gold Panda tends to agree with Richard. Pretty much today. In his interview he said he feels that RB Leipzig...
Yeah, he called me earlier. Maybe that's why.
And find out why we talk Tetra Pak.
Oh, that's strange, because in a Tetra Pak, I'm not sure if this...
Welcome to Bulls in Red. It's coming to you from the heart of Leipzig, where Richard and Mario take you by the hand and show you our RBL world. Thank you for listening. Richard, how are you tonight?
Hey, Mario. I'm good, fine. Friday's around the corner. Football season, club season finally started. Last qualifying matches for the UEFA Europa League just taking place right now when we're recording. Ooh. One of my other favorite clubs from Sweden is 1-0 ahead. It's great. Hope these things keep up. So I'm looking for the show tonight. Let's go.
Excellent. Well, without further ado, let's start with the first topic tonight. And of course, we'll be looking back at our first round cup tie versus Rot-Weiß Essen, which was that expected match of the rich in history, long tradition club Rot-Weiß Essen versus the evil marketing vehicle RB Leipzig. Well, everybody else, we got through to the second round and score was 4-1. Actually, by the way, I'd like to mention I predicted that. Thank you very much.
Woo! Yay!
Yeah. So I got the first one right, and that's going to be the only one for the whole season, maybe. And the key takeaway for this match is, and it's really astonishing because they scored 4 times, efficiency. And I looked at it, and efficiency, that was the word that went through a lot of media and a lot of reports about this match. And I guess everybody was looking at the stats because RB Leipzig had about 17 attempts on goal to 12. That was in RB Leipzig's favor. And they made the Rot-Weiß Essen goalie Goltz, the one who you talked about a little bit in length last time, Richard, famous. So I guess he could go back to a better club like HSV, I suppose. But he made 7 saves. Pete only had to make 2. From that angle, you can already suspect there was a little bit of an efficiency issue with RB Leipzig. But if you look at the statistics about clear chances, really big chances that were created, Essen had 1 and RB Leipzig had 9. So now we're getting a little bit closer. At the end of the day, you can always say, yeah, we won 4-1. It was convincing and nobody's going to talk about it. But I think why there was so much emphasis, and also Marco Rose talked about it, on the term efficiency, is because it would have been great if you put matches like this to bed early. Just bear in mind, RB Leipzig is taking part in 3 competitions. And if you bear in mind that the UEFA Champions League is redesigned, there are 2 more matches this year. It's going to be important that with the squad that we have, which is not a very big one, that seems to be a trademark of RB Leipzig, high quality, but not so many players. And so if you bear this in mind, it'll be really important to put games like this where you're well ahead, in control, to bed early, in order to save strength, in order to be able to get other players on the pitch, to relieve the players who are the key players who you will need in those important matches. So I suppose that is something why there was so much talk about it. But I also remember, Richard, at the beginning of last season, we had a similar discussion, didn't we?
Of course, yeah, we had. And back in those days, we talked about that efficiency is key. Because we put away many games, we won a lot of games, and we were talking about this after nearly every game. Hey, there was, in one way, a convincing win, but on the other hand side, it was always like, okay, we had all those chances we created, we converted. And so this time it's a little bit the other way around, and I find it interesting And to me, it seems like a little bit of a recency bias. So, because if you're talking to a lot of RBL supporters, they're always reporting that this topic, hey, we are lacking of efficiency for years now. I don't think that is true because, yeah, as I said, especially in the beginning of the last season, there was a very, there was a quality mark, thing that we are famous for in the first 8 to 10 games, that we were able to put things away just with the minimum effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how we're going to perform at on our season opener, but versus Bochum. But we're going to talk about this a little bit later. But hey, at the end of the day, we've came through very convincingly, and there had been other times where we didn't make it through the first round, or we made it through the first round because of a lighter that was thrown at us. But that was a long time ago. I just want to share something else with you. There was somebody on the on social media, on X-Twitter, as I may like to call it, who shared with us his impressions of a road trip to Essen. So he was going along with a group of fans. There were about 1,100 RB Leipzig fans going out to Essen to watch this game, and they made up a little block over there. And the gentleman's called Toby for MVP. He's also a regular contributor to the fellow podcast for fans. That is a German podcast, or is a podcast in German, so to speak. And there are always 4 people, i.e. 4 fans, talking about all sorts of Rasenball in German, though. And they always have a drink with them, like a sponsor beer or something else. But Toby, let me call him Toby. He did go on a road trip last Saturday to Essen, and he had to get up really early, like 6:30. The bus was departing from Leipzig 7:30, and it took them 7 hours to get there. It's quite a long way. But on the road trip, he met quite a few people on the bus, and he had good discussions. And he was also reading an article from an Rot-Weiß Essen blogger, and he described this article as, let me quote this, the clash between the unloved, nouveau-rich, can-selling constructor, maybe called marketing vehicle, and the old passion club. So it goes back to a little bit what you said last time, you know.
It's not only about life and death, it's much more.
So that's my view from that. So what I found really interesting, what he described, was he wasn't as confident as the majority of the fans on the bus, because I always thought, this is another match, beautiful match for preparing for the season opener. More than 99% sure that we're going to progress. But he did remember those difficult matches in the first round and of the cup tie. And do you remember when we had to go to Dynamo Dresden? Yeah, Dresden, just an hour away from here. Just as we were the newly promoted club into the first league. And I think Dresden were just promoted into the second Bundesliga. And after being up 2-0, well, there was this guy called Kutschke, who made up that difference by scoring 2 goals. We went to extra time and penalty shootout, and we lost. But the thing I always remember is that big head that Dynamo Dresden supporters threw onto the field or inside the stadium. First of all, I wonder, how did they get it inside the stadium? And second of all, that must have really stunk. And how can you put up with that? And boo, did you guys insult us because of the bull and the pig head, blah, blah, blah. Was it the pig head, or was it a head of a cow?
It was a pig head, and you nailed it.
How does that make sense?
That thing must have stunk. And what tells us that about the Dynamo Dresden supporters? And the smell in the K block.
Ooh, you get a lot of abuse for that now.
I was only asking a question. Okay, I did not want to implicate that the Dresden supporters are stink. Okay, I just asked a question.
But of course,
maybe they all got this something on the nose to prevent themselves for getting
but I thought
that stuff.
But I thought that was totally inappropriate. But a long time ago, of course, we lost. And he remembered matches like this, so he was not as comfortable. He was confident. And interesting enough, when the bus was approaching the stadium, they were accompanied by a policeman on a motorbike to guide them through the Hafenstraße to the stadium. And he noticed when they got through the entry and to the stadium, everything was very efficient. Although they had to use a printed or hard copy of a ticket, it's not used that anymore because in Leipzig everything is digital. And he noticed everybody was friendly. It was good. There was no animosity in terms of the staff who worked there. Stadium announcer was positive, maintained a positive atmosphere. He didn't stir up any tension. He didn't create any tension. That might be different in other places. And of course, the hardcore Essen fans, they of course dislike RB Leipzig. On TV, I noticed this banner, which spelled out pure hate for RB Leipzig or Red Bull. You're kind of used to that, and you saw in the first couple of rows a couple of people with obviously expressing their dislike with wild gestures to RB Leipzig. But nothing was thrown as far as I can see. So maybe because you paid €2 for as a deposit for the mug, I don't know, over there. But all in all, it seemed to be by and large, very, very fair. And I noticed during the press conference with Marco Rose later on, and the coach of Rot-Weiß Essen, the announcer, the speaker, he was very fair. He was very fair, very polite, and even Marco Rose noticed that. So that all contributed to an atmosphere which was not too tense. I expected a lot worse. And because of all of that, and I guess the positive outcome of the game, Toby actually concluded that, well, it's a shame that it was only 1,100 fans in the away block. The stadium has a capacity of 20,000, so I guess up to 10% of the tickets could have been for RB Leipzig, so I guess it would have been 2,000. He does suspect, and you know why that is the case, and that goes back to the events in the first Bundesliga when 8,000 RB Leipzig fans came under attack. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. In their first away match in Dortmund. But he believes that, this has relaxed now. He found this trip to Essen, he felt safe, he found it relaxing. And he believes that that's how he concludes. He believes that now it's time to put this all behind and, travel out to Leverkusen, St. Pauli, or, when we play internationally abroad. He claims that it is definitely worth the effort. So I thought it was pretty interesting report and a positive report, so we really thank him for that. And I'm actually surprised that 1,100 people made it out there. Okay, it was a Saturday, it was 3:30 in the afternoon, but hey, it was a first round cup tie, maybe not that attractive, 7 hours away, and if you go on a bus, so tip my hats off to them, so very well. And I'm not 100% sure if I actually agree. I think if we were still to pitch up in places like Dortmund, it's still a bit iffy. But, it's good that he has a positive effect or impression there. So that concludes our little report, our little road trip. So, Richard, it was quite interesting to see this week that there was so much focus in the local media over here on a couple of players. There were some extra reports out. And, of course, a lot of people were just concentrating on Antonio Nusa, who came on the pitch, and the second time he touched the ball, he put the ball away and scored quite a decisive goal. So that's really nice. But so I thought we can include this into our podcast episode today. But then I changed my mind. And you know why I changed my mind? Because we got an email on podcast@bosenred.com. So Justin from Canada, who's listening to us, got in touch with us. So thank you very much. And he actually went to see RB Leipzig on their US tour when they played Aston Villa. And from judging by the pictures he sent us, he had damn good seats. Damn good seats. I'm not sure if what he sent the picture of was offside, but yeah, maybe not. So well done. And he picked the right game, so he must have really enjoyed it. And thank you for those pictures. And thank you for getting in touch. He's okay with us rebranding to Bulls and Red, so that's wonderful. So he had some thoughts about last season. And, remember in one of our last episodes, or was it the last episode, we asked the question, who would be the comeback player of the year? And both of us concentrated on players who were injured and then came back, i.e. Pete Gulaschi, and I took Willi Orban. But he had a different choice, and I thought that was really interesting. It is, drumroll, David Raum. David Raum. And I thought, interesting choice. why would he choose that? And then I realized David's only been with us for 2 years. After the second season he had with us, I kind of had this feeling he's been with us for much longer. And remember, in the first year he was with us, it needed quite a bit of adjustment. And I sometimes jokingly said, "Hey, one of these days he's going to be a great player." And how so many times we said, "Ooh, no." But last season, he really improved. He was really great. And there was also a piece in the local newspaper over here now, the Leipziger Volkszeitung, and they concentrated on him. And I'd like to share a few facts with you about that. It's really interesting because I didn't realize that out of 45 competitive matches last year, David Raum actually appeared in 40 of them. So that is something I think we just take for granted, that he's on the pitch and then he's playing. And similar to Willi Orban, you always expect him to be there, not be injury prone or get an injury. And we thought that until last season from Willi Orban. And of course, then he was out for quite a while. So let's keep our fingers crossed everything stays the same. But if you look at David Raum, he is really a guy who is very physical, and he plays a very physical game. And he just runs up that left-hand side back and forth. You see him defending, you see him putting in those crosses. And he seems to know when he needs to speed up. He seems to be aware of where he needs to be on the pitch and which side. And if you look at the numbers, he's one of those players, I think of RB Leipzig, he's the players who covers the most distance during the match. It's about 11 kilometers on average. And in terms of, that's another statistic I picked up somewhere. In terms of sprints, he does about 23 sprints a match, which is quite incredible. And also in terms of most of the runs or longer runs he did over the season, he's second best in the squad of RB Leipzig, just behind Xavi, who was actually doing a little bit more than that. So very intense player. But in terms of performance, I think in the first year we kind of struggled to see him performing as well as he did the year before in Hoffenheim when he was there for a year. And I think before that he played for Kräuter Fürth. So it was quite big changes in a short space of time. And the first year he was here, it seemed that it needs some sort of adjustment, but it really came out on top in the second year, so last season, to the point that he even took part in the European Championships and he earned a couple of caps with the German team. And he had two scenes which I remember, the cross to Füllkrug, and Füllkrug converted that with his header for an equalizer. I think it was versus Switzerland. But there was another one where he put in a cross which hit a hand of an opponent, and that resulted in a penalty. The only thing which I found unusual is, as long as Toni Kroos was on the pitch, he was not taking any corners. That was really weird. On the other end, just going back to the Essen game, I think one thing I'd like to add what Toby said. Toby just wonders why we're so harmless at set pieces. Not really sure if I picked up on that as well, but it's something I'm sure we can discuss during the course of the season. But David Raum says he needs to play a very physical game. He needs to be on top. And I hope he will be able to keep this up, because he didn't have a long break, did he? I mean, he missed the US tour. He came back when the team was in the US tour. Him and Benny Henrichs, who was also playing for Germany in the European Championships. They came back, they started training. So there was not a big break. And especially with somebody like him, it's hopefully something he can keep up during the season. Hopefully he'll stay injury free. Now, who could replace him? Well, nobody could replace him, I think, directly, but you have to try to, what I picked up in that report, you have to try to do this with Castello-Luqueba, maybe, or Benjamin Henrichs, moving him to the left-hand side. You could do that as well. Bichiabu would be a great guy, but who would actually put in those crosses? That is the thing, that because that has become really a real trademark. And I didn't realize that he had 17 score points last year. So 3 goals he scored himself, and 14 assists. I just hope this run continues, 3 competitions, and hopefully for a long time we stay in these 3 competitions, where we definitely need a player like him. And in German, they call him Dauerläufer. Now it's like, if you translate that directly, it's like endurance runner. to me, I had pictures of the Duracell Rapid, but maybe that's inappropriate. Somebody who never stops, who just keeps on going. So, well, Justin, thank you very much for getting in touch with us. We really appreciate it, and thank you for throwing this up. It kind of made me think, because I wouldn't have really looked at David Raum as a comeback player for last season, and I'm think maybe Richard, you haven't either. But I think nevertheless, it's really interesting. So thank you. And thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Justin. I would like to add a little bit to that. So, because to me, he wasn't a comeback player in the sense I like to use this term. Because so for me, a comeback player is someone who comes back from something, from a very, very bad situation, from a long-term injury or something like that, or maybe just lost his space in the starting 11 and fought hard to find his way back. And of course, you're right. David Raum hadn't a really tough start when he arrived at Leipzig, and a shitty first season. But to me, it's like he was more like a come-up player of the year. So fair to say. But anyway, David Raum, it's cornerstone of our defense and even the offense, and I don't see anybody in the near of that level that he can perform on this left defensive side. And you mentioned it. Hopefully he stay healthy and doesn't. We won't need a replacement for his position, because there is nobody that is in the near of his abilities.
I agree, and I also agree with something else that Justin said in his conclusion. He said without his stability and skill on the left, we wouldn't have been in the top 4. And I agree. That is spot on. Yeah. So thank you for that. Hey, but this Saturday, finally, the long wait is over. I'm going to be in a new seat in a different block. Great. I'm going to tell you all about it. If you want to listen to it or not, hear it or not, are you going to hear it? Anyways, this Saturday, we're really excited. It's going to be really hot day. 35 degrees is expected. They just said that in front of the stadium on the Festwiese, they're going to lower the price of the water they serve to €1.50 instead of 4. I think it's €4 for a mug of half a liter of water. And you're allowed to bring in half a liter of water in a Tetra Pak. It's got to be in a Tetra Pak, though. I don't know why. And you're allowed to bring that in because it's 35 degrees this Saturday. I just picked this up. Yeah.
Well, that's strange, because in a Tetra Pak, I'm not sure if this still possible to buy some water in a Tetra Pak, because I tried to buy before we went to our holidays in Sweden, because I don't want to collect those bottles. You know, I'm a guy who doesn't like to spend money, so I try to keep everything that I got. And if you go into Germany buying bottles of water, you have to pay a deposit, and you finally get it back when you bring the bottles back to the vendor. And if you buy water in Tetra Paks, you don't have to pay a deposit, but there was none. There was no Tetra Pak water at all. So I'm curious, and hopefully you will keep an eye on that if there's anybody. And then please make sure that you identify the brand, so I can even talk to the people and ask them
where'd you get that?
Where they got that, so I can go by myself.
Yeah, I mean, somebody might put up a stand in front of the stadium and sell water in Tetra Paks.
That was no way.
I think I got an idea. Hold my beer.
Hold my beer, and then you have to take a photo and show it to the world on Explorer.
Exactly. We're going to stop this podcast because I need enough money. Made enough money out of this. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Wonderful. So yeah, really, really warm day. But it's VfL Bochum again. I remember you last time saying it's a hard nut to crack. Mm-hmm. So what can we expect this time, Richard?
Introducing our next opponent, their ignorant check.
It was a hard nut to crack, and the hardest nut to crack was between the goalposts. Spoiler alert. Manuel Riemann not around anymore. But I would like to start with the VfL Bochum in general, because somehow miraculously, they're still in the league. So they finished. They was not relegated because, as I call it, the Düsseldorf miracle. Okay, background. They finished. Okay, for all of you that out there that might don't got this on their radar, they finished in 16th position because they lost their final match at Bremen, whereas Union and Mainz won their last matches, and with doing so, they lifted themselves above the VfL from Bochum. So Bochum had to go to the relegation, and they faced Fortuna Düsseldorf and lost the first leg at home with 0-3. And I was like, okay. And I was like, and maybe whole football Germany, okay, this is it. Bochum is going to get relegated. Düsseldorf gets promoted. Welcome back, Düsseldorf. And 3 or 4 days later, Bochum won 3-0 at Düsseldorf. So equalized this whole thing and then made it to the penalty shootout. And finally, they stayed in the league by winning in penalties. Crazy shit.
But that's football.
So, that's football. Funny old game. It's they call it for a reason, I guess.
Oh, ka-ching!
So, yeah. So this time, Bochum comes to Leipzig again, and usually it's a welcome guest at our stadium. 6 appearances so far in total in the Cup, the second Bundesliga and Bundesliga, and they lost 5 of them, only scored once, conceded 16, so almost 3 in each match, and only drove home once with 1 point. And it was last season's infamous 0-0 draw, where Manuel Riemann saved 2 times on penalty. And so, but here we go with the roster update. Compared to the previous season, Bochum's squad changed slightly, but incisive. Okay, so first of all, RBL's personalized nightmare keeper, Manuel Riemann, is for whatever reason persona non grata in Bochum. Yeah. He's still part of this squad or of the roster, so to speak, but he won't make any further appearance. That's for sure. Good for us, though.
I think they're going to meet in front of court.
Yeah. This thing is going to end ugly. But okay, this is not. Luckily, we are not involved in this thing at all.
Yeah, very good.
So he's not around, and this is good. It's kind of because he's out of the heads of our lads. At least that. And so I told you the squad changed a little bit. So Riemann left. Arguably their best player, Kevin Stöger, and last season's top scorer with 7 goals and 10 assists, left after 2 seasons and is now with Borussia Mönchengladbach instead. Last season's scorer number 2, Takuma Asano, 6 goals and 1 assist, also left and is now with RCD Mallorca. And he was in the starting 11 in the first match in the opener versus Real Madrid, and they finished 1-0 draw. But he didn't score, but he was in the starting 11. Okay, cool for him. So, next one, scorer number 3, Kevin Schlotterbeck, 5 goals.
Oh no, assist. Where's he gone?
Yeah, left as well, is now at FC Augsburg.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
and things got even worse. Bernardo, the former RBL player.
Yeah.
I think the older ones will remember. And last season, he was a workhorse. Started 33 of 33 games he played. 2,924 out of 2,970 minutes possible. So, and always on that pitch, on their left side, is injured. And by the way, a transfer candidate too. So no option for the coach at Saturday. Patrick Osterhage, another last season's important midfielder, left and is off to Freiburg.
Okay.
And last but not least, Ivan Ordetz is still in Bochum, by the way, but it was a cornerstone of their defense last season. And he's now off and no option for this clash on Saturday because he suffered a shoulder injury in the last test match versus Le Havre, and is out for a few weeks. So, of course, who's left? Yeah, the other ones. So Bochum tried to find properly placements for the lads, and maybe they did most recently for their defensive unit at least. They acquired Jakov Medic from Ajax Amsterdam. 25.
Sounds
glamorous, yeah. But maybe this Croatian names always sounds glamorous. I don't know. 25-year-old from Croatia.
Sorry.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, he played for several clubs in Germany, but never in the Bundesliga. He played for, I think it was Wien Wiesbaden in third tier and St. Pauli most recently when he was in Germany in the second Bundesliga. Never played Bundesliga. Tried to get success, tried to grow in the Eredivisie at Ajax Amsterdam, but only made a few appearances. I think it was like 9 or something like that. So he couldn't find a way to make it his first option for the coach there. So his last competitive match is back in January this year. Wow. And it wasn't because he was injured. He wasn't. Okay, he was always on the training pitch, but didn't make it in the final roster or was sent out from the bench. So yeah. This lack of match practice is not what you want as a coach in general, and even more against the top side, top offense like RBL. So, I do expect that the coach will send him out because there's lack of alternatives for his defensive squad. But we don't have to fear him. So as far as I know, and I told you now what I know about him and what I saw from him. And the other new kids on the block, well, will need some time too for Coach Zeidler. And it was seen when they lost the first cup match at third tier Jan Regensburg with 1-0. He sent out 9 players that were in the club last season. But somehow some like the second year, the guys from the bench, So like 9 of them played last season for Bochum. Most of them didn't were starting players because all of those names I dropped who left the club. And only 2 new lads who was on that pitch versus Regensburg. It was the keeper, of course. He came from Karlsruhe SC. And the other one is Ibrahima Sissoko, a 26-year-old box-to-box player. I think he came from, I don't know, some club out of France, I guess. Conclusion. This squad has a real drop-off in quality.
Mm-hmm.
They not yet are ready and able to find proper replacements. So anything but a clear win for RBL at home in our opener would be a real surprise. So I expect him to operate with a very defensive approach in a 4-3-1-2 formation. And from what I saw, and that's just to be fair, I just saw a few glimpses from their loss against Regensburg. I mentioned it seemed that their right side is a bit weaker than the left side, and that should come in useful for us because usually our left side is we talked
very
about
strong.
It a lot, very strong with David Raum and Xavi, and so I think this is a game we should be able to decide early. And I will drop my score prediction right now, and I'm going with a 3-0 win.
Very clean. I'm going with a 3-1. But as soon as you said they'll probably be playing very on the defensive side, very defensively, I immediately thought back to last year. And I know Riemann was a big factor, but still, at the time, it seemed that our team was switching off in the final end of the pitch. They didn't have any solutions or ideas. And VfL Bochum really parked the bus. What do you expect now? Can they park the bus in a similar way? And if they do, would we have better solutions?
Of course I do. Because I do expect them to park the bus again, but they won't be able to do this in that manner that they did last season. So because simply the lads in the defense are new. They ain't got no match practice together as a unit. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lack of, now my favorite word, I have to drop it once an episode, there's a lack of cohesion.
First time I heard it today.
In their defense. With that in Germany we say it's Abstimmungsschwierigkeiten. I love this German word, by the way.
I'm not going to play that game with you again.
No, not today. Maybe another
No.
one. Maybe another day. So yeah, basically, they will have difficulties to get each other in the right positions, so that our lads are always a shadow with them. So I guess there will be open spaces and much more than we saw last season's encounter versus Bochum. And from what I have seen from our match versus Essen, I got that feeling that especially Xavi and especially Haidara are so keen on of playing again, and it's so much fun playing together. They won't stop. They won't quit. They won't argue with one each other. They will throw everything they have, and I'm convinced that we will find better solutions than last year, and that we will strike early.
I agree as well, and hopefully they'll be able to put the match to bed early, because it's going to be really hot with those 35 degrees. And I'm always also more optimistic as well, because Golpenda and Cheshko, they're brilliant strikers, and they look like they had a lot of fun in Essen already. How much does the heat going to be a factor, do you think?
Yeah, it could be, but well, with I don't think this physically will have an impact, but more on the concentration. And I think the team that is always asked to go for the ball, so this team is not in ball possession, and this will very likely be Bochum. I think will have faced more difficulties with the weather.
And one last question: how many penalties RB Leipzig is going to have in this game?
None.
None. Yeah, because Emir's not there anymore, so no danger. And who took the second one? Was it Xavi? I remember it was Xavi was the first one, Emir's the second, and well, it was Riemann and goal. So there you go. He's not there anymore. I'm really looking forward to this match, and I think the what I can sense from the fans over here in the city, there's a real buzz. Everybody's really optimistic. But in the sense, they're as optimistic as last year. Remember, last year we kind of thought, hey, we can challenge for the title. And of course we didn't. Now there is a similar feeling. Do you think that's justified? Oh, you made this bold prediction, so you need to say yes. So of course.
Last season we were like buzzed. Okay, hey, there's this new lad, and he got with so much.
And we won the Super
promises.
Cup. Yeah, we beat Bayern Munich convincingly 3-0. Well, I wasn't there, but
And then we started with the right results, and we talked about that, and everyone was hyped, but as we talked about it last week, I'm convinced that this whole season, our lads play together, and a lot of games without Olmo. So we are now, when we're starting into the season now, we are one step further than we were last season at the same point.
Hey, Golpenda said that. He, pretty much today. In his interview he said he feels that RB Leipzig.
Yeah, he called me earlier. Maybe that's why.
Last week he said that he's in a better position, but he expects us to be in the top 3, and he definitely wants to challenge for the DFB Pokal, get to Berlin. Okay, I think everybody's looking forward to it. It's going to be brilliant. We're all going to welcome the lads back, including Xavi, who I didn't think he would come back towards the end of last season. So we're going to be telling you all about it. Hope to get some interesting audio clips as well. And as you guys know, I'm in a different seat now, closer to the hardcore RB Leipzig fans. So there should be a lot of noise coming your way. And yeah, we're looking forward to telling you all about it next week. So Richard, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Thanks for sharing.
Next week it's the draw of the new UCL season. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe we. What do you think about? Maybe we should do a little live episode.
A live episode?
Maybe.
I'm not really sure.
No. Okay.
No.
But everyone out there, stay tuned. Maybe something's happening. Okay. Take care.
Great. So, thank you, Richard. This has been Bochum Red. And Bochum Red is coming to you every week from the heart of Leipzig, where we take you into our RB Leipzig world. If you like this podcast, we'd be delighted if you could subscribe to it. And I'm sure there's some sort of notification bell which rings when new episodes come out, so you don't miss any new episodes. And even if we do a live show, anything like that. Also, you can reach us by email like Justin Dunham from Canada. You can reach us by email on podcast@bochumred.com. We're also on Twitter. Our username is podcast_RBL. You can find us on Instagram. That's Bochum Red. Our episodes are also available on YouTube. Just search for Bochum Red and you'll find us. So, thank you very much for listening. Richard, thank you very much for talking to us. And we're all looking forward to a great win to the first 3 points. And to everyone listening out there, auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.